Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in today and thank you for your support. Today I get to revisit one of my favorite albums, and it's David Crosby, If I Could Only Remember My Name. I've covered this record twice already on the channel. The first time was very early on in the first year. I think the 50th anniversary had just come out and I did a little comparison on my system at that time with the classic 33, the Bernie Grundman cut. Later on, I think in the second year, the Mofi SuperVinyl 45 came out, and I compared them all again. Now we have Atlantic 75's version, cut by Bernie Grundman, a brand new cut, by the way. And I'm going to compare the 45s, because finally we have a 45 from Bernie. There was an earlier classic 45 that I've never heard, and that's what we thought we were going to get with the Atlantic 75, but there was some issue with the plates, and they decided to go with a new cut, and I'm glad they did. I'm going to tell you the differences I heard between these two 45 RPM cuts. By the way, they are both all analog, so unlike many of the Mofis, which we've now discovered are from DSD, this is one of the few and one of the last that was cut from tape, AAA cut. So it makes it an even more interesting comparison, I think. I have more copies of this record than I need. I really didn't need another copy, but my system's changed a lot since those last couple of videos, and I heard the Mofi 45 on my previous speaker system, which was the ELAC Debut 2.0. And, you know, those are limited in low frequency response. And if I've discovered anything lately with the new system audio Pandion speakers in the system, is that what I previously assumed is not always correct. Things that did sound good on the other system now have to be reevaluated. So it is what it is, but it just goes to show that you really need to know what a person is listening on to take their comments about sound quality into consideration. And with a subjective review, that's always important to get to know my system. That's why I did the system update video about a month ago. And I always list my current system in the description box so you know where I'm coming from. So when I first got the Mofi 45, I was enthralled with it. I was so happy with it, I bought a second copy. And I still have both. So I'm pretty invested in it. And I do like it. On the original system, it provided a wonderful sense of transparency and openness that I wasn't getting with the other copies. And for that, I gave it high marks. Also, it had the quietest vinyl. It's pressed on SuperVinyl. So it's the Neotech 900 vinyl compound, which is very, very quiet. And that's very important in the last section of the record, especially, where there's a lot of quiet, ethereal vocals going on and a lot of open space. And that quiet surface was really appreciated. So I really had a high estimation of the Mofi, and it is a good sounding record. This was cut by Krieg Wunderlich. When I got it in the system this time on the new speakers, a couple of things became apparent. The bass is extended and the treble is extended a bit. There's a bit more clarity overall, and it's really kind of a typical job from Mobile Fidelity, where they do try to bring out more detail and clarity, and usually that's by accentuating the top a bit. The bass, they also like to do a little bit of work on and extend, and that's the case on the 45 as well. Now, on the new system, which reaches much deeper, I don't need a subwoofer in this system. It goes quite low. I don't have the exact figure, but everything that I've been playing on it has has had wonderful bass response. On on this system, the Mofi sounds a bit bloated in the bass. I didn't notice that before on the ELACs, which are limited in low frequency response. This record has deep bass already, and it's a little undefined at times. So going deeper with the bass in an attempt to make a better record is really probably not the right approach. And that became more apparent as I went on to the Atlantic 75. On the top, things are a little bit too sparkly. It's really pretty at first to hear the chiming guitars and every little finger, pick and everything. But over time, it gets to be like it's drawing attention to itself. There's wonderful transparency and depth in sound staging on this Mofi, but it does have these sonic attributes. So as I went to the Atlantic 75, immediately I realized that those were the characteristics of the Mofi. In its place, we have very quiet pressing, almost as quiet as the Neotech SuperVinyl. So that's great. We have a more natural sounding record overall. The bass is not extended on this, it's tightened up a bit. So it actually sounds better than it does on the Mofi. It's not lacking in bass whatsoever. It always had a deep bass response, but here it's given a little more tightness and definition, and it's wonderful. It really involves you in a way that doesn't draw attention to itself, like the Mofi. The mid-range is beautiful, natural, open. The 45 has done this record wonders. Bernie has definitely improved on his classic 33, although it wasn't a comparison in this particular instance. I remember it well. It sounds a little closed in compared to what we hear on this new Atlantic 75. Vocals are absolutely breathtaking. The whole musical involvement, it feels like you're at a musical performance, especially in songs like Cowboy Movie. You really get into that groove and you feel like just these images and sound just coming at you and like waves of high frequency shimmer from the cymbals. It's almost like sea spray hitting you in the face. So pretty. Really, it's just a great track. Cowboy Movie rocks, and it gives you everything that you would expect and nothing that you don't need. That when you hear the track on the Mofi 45, it sounds a bit accentuated and the bass sounds a little too heavy. So that was the difference I noticed there. Other highlights are laughing, just more coherent sound overall on the Atlantic 75, without always sounding natural, but always taking advantage of the 45 and giving you a more open sound. Really, that transparency that I noticed on the Mofi originally, it's there on the Atlantic 75 as well. So there really isn't a reason there to go with the Mofi. I really don't want to be without the Mofi. I like some of the aspects of it, but I have to say that Bernie Grundman is a national treasure. He's brought out the best of this record, and I'm so glad they recut this. You know, I'd be afraid that the classic 45 would be a little limited, and I think this is better than probably the classic 45. I can't say for sure, but based on the 33, this new one is just lovely. It really is. I think it's definitive, and I rarely say that, but hearing it today against the 45, there's no question that I prefer Bernie's new cut. It's just more natural sounding, and it has every attribute that you want in this record and avoids things that you don't need, like extending bass, making the treble too brilliant. You know, there's like on Traction in the Rain, for instance, there's I think it's a zither, a stringed instrument that's being played almost harp-like in a way. But on the Mofi, it's really accentuated, and it just sounds unnatural the way you hear those plucks so vividly. To me, it sounds more beautiful and natural on Bernie's cut. Also, the song with no words in the last few tracks on the album, the layering of the vocals on Song with No Words is just amazing. Amazing on this Atlantic 75. Also, the last track with just the wordless vocal, which I mentioned in a previous review, that it reminds me of an old TAS Super Disc list, Hearing Solar Winds. It's just voices moving up in space, and it's just so pretty. And it just comes across more natural and more beautiful on the Atlantic 75. So what do? You already have the Mofi. I'm pretty sure that anyone that has the Mofi that heard this closely in comparison on a good system would prefer the new cut. I really don't think that there would be any reason that they would prefer the Mofi. In isolation, it's great. If it's not a favorite record and you already have the Mofi, you're probably all set. But if you want to hear the best of what this record can offer, the Atlantic 75 is a no-brainer. It's a beautiful, beautiful job by Bernie Grundman. And I'm so glad we got this. I'm so glad we got a new cut of this that, in my mind, is definitive. And that's all I have to say about that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, I'm Scott for The Pressing Matters. Have a great day.